Maverick traders, welcome out to your currency recap for November 17th. Corey here with you. We're going to take you through meaningful news, what's moving the markets up, down, sideways, and right now it's mostly down. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency and the liquidation happening there and the best Forex pairs to trade.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So today continues what we've been seeing, which is really a risk-off environment across the board. There was some liquidations happening in the crypto space. I've been on the side that thought Bitcoin back when it was at 115,000 was going below 100,000. It's now doing that. I think the path of least resistance is still lower in crypto, and the problem is that creates domino effects. You're seeing a risk off where now there's probably some margin calls. Well, if people don't want to sell their crypto, they got to go across other asset classes and liquidate. There's some forced liquidations in crypto and so on, and that perpetuates a little bit more of a crisis. And then the Japanese yen, it remains weak. There is this crisis narrative that's gaining some traction. It's been an ongoing issue, the whole yen carry trade, the shorting of the yen and using the proceeds to fund asset purchases and so forth, and the idea that they could lose control and that people are losing faith in the yen and so on. The problem are the knock-on effects and how the dominoes topple over. And it's not a crisis in the sense that, oh, this is urgent today, is the problem, but it is something that that kind of gains traction week after week, month after month, year after year. So US dollar a little higher today, British pound a little higher, Aussie the bigger weak currency. The yen's still weak even though we're going risk off, and that's because I think it's kind of moving to the beat of its own drum because of that crisis narrative. Crypto continuing to be liquidated, but look, stocks were down 1% today, gold, oil, everything was selling off. Bitcoin Cash actually the relative outperformer where all the other cryptos were down sharply. Litecoin the weakest, down 5% today. 5% in one day, that's fairly normal. I mean, it's more, let's say it's more normal in crypto than it would be if the stock market were down 5%, but it's still 5%. Somebody losing value at that clip, more liquidations tend to occur. So the SPX importantly has broken and closed below the 50 period moving average. That 50 period moving average is often a dividing line between whether you're in an uptrend or downtrend, and so this close below that is significant from that standpoint. In addition, we had talked about that there was a nice trend line here that had been in place for months, and guess what? This breaks and closes for the first time below that trend line. So you are breaking the uptrend line. Well, what happens next? Probable that we continue to zig and zag to the downside, that we make lower lows, that when we bounce, we set lower highs than prior highs, and we get that stair-stepping direction with the path of least resistance continuing to be to the downside. For this week, we've got the FOMC meeting minutes. There are those debating whether the Fed's going to be able to continue to cut rates. Now, this is a look back at the last Fed meeting, and we get the minutes of the meeting. We get to see who's discussing what, who's more dovish, who's more hawkish, who thinks rate cuts are more needed, who thinks that we've gone enough. We'll get insight into that. You get some employment data out of the US on Thursday, and then you get PMIs out of Europe and the UK and the US all out on Friday. So a lot of manufacturing and services PMIs across the board. As we look at velocity, anything inside of the one is really lackluster, so we don't have anything great to trade in currency land right here, right now, but I'm going to highlight which ones I think are going to come up and out of this. I'll give you a little hint, and what is likely to be the downside trade. So Euro Aussie long, where you buy euros and short Aussie, to me, that's the trade. That's the one that I think is going to be the next opportunity. Crypto is just flat out a short. You've got more weakness in Litecoin and Bitcoin than others, but the reality is crypto is weak, and we're going to see that in the charts. So let's take a look together here. First, the euro. Like I said, this is not a screaming buy. The problem is there's not a lot of velocity in the FX markets, but you can see why I'm optimistic. You can see that we're starting to get a little curvature in the moving average here, that the candlestick starting to pivot upward. Look at the RSI starting to turn back to the upside. And what you'd be looking for is this to turn into a buy. So this would come below and you'd start to be on a buy signal. You get that upward slope, upward trend, and away we go in euro. I think that's the next play, is euro long. What do we match it up with? Well, Aussie. And Aussie is a little more actionable. It's closer to being ready right here, right now. You can see it's already on a sell signal, already downward sloping, already downward trending. So Aussie is ready. We just don't know what to pair it with, what to buy. I think it's probably euro or British pound sterling. Those are my best plays to the upside. But I think the trade is euro Aussie. You're buying euros, you're shorting the Aussie, and I think that's going to be the next one in FX. In the crypto space, Bitcoin all the way down to 91,000 and tumbling further. We've broken support. We're on sell signals, downward slopes, and downward trends. If you're expecting a big move here, I think it's to the downside. I would anticipate we're going to see Bitcoin down in the 80,000s in the not too distant future. And these liquidations have a way of picking up pace and picking up steam. And it's a problem across the board in crypto. Litecoin lost 5% today, and it looks like a little blip on the radar. It just, sell signals and downward slopes and trends. This is everything you want to see, and that's why we have Bitcoin and Litecoin as very good shorts, and with all the criteria you want to see for shorting. -3 on the crypto play. So risk off environment. The SPX has broken the 50 period moving average in that uptrend line. Crypto liquidations, I'm just expecting more selling and more risk off. Euro is not a traditional defensive currency, but we have seen that in recent years, and I think you play euro to the upside. Aussie should sell off in a liquidating kind of risk-off environment, so it makes sense as a risk-off play, and I think that's the next trade in FX. Hope you've enjoyed this currency recap. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.